Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tamika. This is Library of Tomes, where I talk to you about all the bookish things going on in my life. And today I'm going to be reviewing Tokyo Ghoul, which, if you didn't know, I just marathoned the entire series. So I want to review the manga for you. If you're new here, hi, my name's Tamika. I talk about books here, but I am actually going to be talking more about manga because I'm really getting into manga again. So I want to talk about it. If you've not heard about Tokyo Ghoul and you're living under a rock, which I'm sure you've heard of Tokyo Ghoul by now, it is a very popular manga series that is following a boy named Ken Kaneki who is in college. He is essentially very shy, very reserved. He is a model student and he is going to this coffee shop, this cafe, with his best friend, and he has a crush on this waitress there. Her name is Riza, and Riza is a ghoul. Now, Ken Kaneki does not know that she's a ghoul. So ghouls are very well known in Tokyo where he's at. They are known to exist. They are known and they are being hunted by investigators. So these ghouls eat humans and that's how they survive, but they are able to blend in with society and kind of pretend to be human and trick other humans to not know that they're ghouls. So obviously Ken is human and he has a crush on Riza. So they end up actually going on a date. He ends up getting a date with her. So at the end of the date, they are walking home and Ken Kaneki realizes that Riza wants to eat him. So there's a situation that happens that causes an accident, and this accident actually critically injures Ken Kaneki and also injures Riza, and a doctor transplants Riza's organs into Ken Kaneki, in result making him half ghoul. So he is a half ghoul, half human, and he is having to basically relearn everything so that he can survive his new life as a half human, half ghoul. Now that I've actually gave you the synopsis of the story and kind of given you the hint of what the series is going to be about, that's basically all I can tell you without spoiling it for the entire series. So I'm going to be reviewing it based off of the art, the ending, the overall story, and then also the characters. And I'm going to give you just some things that I liked and disliked about it, and also whether or not I think you should read this series, invest in it, or what you should do. So first of all, I want to go ahead and start with, I actually really enjoyed the art in the series. I know that some people said that the art kind of starts off bad and gets better, and I would agree with that and disagree with that. I like the art throughout the entire story, but I do prefer the art of Ken Kaneki. About halfway through the series, about volume 6, is when I like the art style a little bit better, which I think is what a lot of other people agree with, but for me it's specifically because of Ken Kaneki. I prefer the art style of him when he is a little more, after he goes through his transformation, which is in the story. So I prefer him a little bit more when he has his hair color changed. So overall, I think the art just kind of improves at that point. And I think the art is still fine in the beginning, but I prefer it at that point. So I really like the art in this one. So the characters, I had a lot of fun with these characters. I really enjoyed them. Obviously, Ken Kaneki is my favorite character in the series. He is the main protagonist. I really enjoyed him. I liked watching his journey. I liked the transformation. I prefer the later half of the series with Ken Kaneki. I prefer the little more crazy side of him, the little more destructive side, the little more of the embracing the ghoul side of him rather than his human side. So I do prefer the ghoul version of Ken Kaneki versus the human version. That's not really a spoiler. You know that there's the two halves of him, half human, half ghoul. I prefer when he embraces his ghoul side a little bit more. I feel like he's a little more interesting of a character at that point. I really feel like he has good character motivations. I enjoy the way that he goes about things. I like that he is protective and he cares about the people he loves, and I really like that he will do whatever he can to help them, and I just really like the way he does that as like when he embraces his ghoul side versus his human side, but that's just personal preference. So my favorite investigator in the series is Juzo. He essentially likes to torture and kill people. He was originally raised by ghouls, and I really liked him. I thought he had a very interesting personality. I felt like he really came off the page. He was very eccentric and he was fun to read from. I will say that the investigators are not my favorite portions of the story. I felt like they drag a little bit. I felt like they were a little more boring. I like seeing the two different sides of ghouls versus the investigators, so you never really know, like, there isn't a bad side or a good side, but of all of the investigators, he was the most interesting and the other ones aren't as interesting. As for the other ghouls, I felt like some of them kind of just blended into the page, kind of just didn't feel very fleshed out. I felt like some of the characters were just kind of added on there just for some extra like tension or just for another body count. I didn't love some of them, and then some of them I felt really attached to and others I didn't. So obviously Toka, I actually really didn't like her in the beginning and I really grew to like her, but then she's kind of just not in the second half of the series. She is, but she's not as relevant. In the first little portion, I felt like she was pretty annoying. I started to enjoy her in the middle, and then she kind of isn't that relevant at the end. So I also liked the manager of the cafe. I really liked him. I liked the way that he kind of guided the ghouls. I really, really liked him as a character. And then I also enjoyed some of the other characters that were smaller, like the person who makes all the masks for the ghouls. I also enjoyed Toka's brother. And then also Banjo, who we meet about volume 4 or 5. I really liked him as well. He is someone who like joins and teams up with King Kaneki. So I enjoyed all of those characters and I thought they were really well done for the most part, and I enjoyed them. So the overall storyline I kind of want to touch on. I felt like we had a pretty good story going. I felt like the story was super interesting and really worked well with the type of characters we had. I felt like the stories and the characters really went well together. I didn't feel like we had a story and then we had some characters and then the mangaka kind of forced the two together. It really felt like the characters in the story were built for each other. I know sometimes I've read stories where it just felt like the author took a story, the idea they had, and forced characters into that story. It didn't feel like that at all when reading Tokyo Ghoul. The entire time it felt like the author had intentionally crafted both things for each other, and I felt like that really showed, and it was really well done. I loved the different arcs that we had throughout the series. I felt like they were very, very well developed, and I felt like they had a lot, they foreshadowed each other enough so that you were never truly confused on what was going on. I felt like the overarching plot of the story was very solid from the beginning until the end of it, and I really liked watching how those things happening in the story really helped transform our characters. Nothing felt forced in the story. It felt very, very flawless, very seamless. I felt like everything was integrated very well. Each of the storylines really weaved together and crafted a very good overall story, and I really, really enjoyed it. I'm excited to see how the story can continue in Tokyo Ghoul Re, and I also have a lot of questions. However, because my only complaint and my biggest complaint for the entirety of the series is the ending. So I want to talk about the ending really quickly. I'm not going to specifically spoil things. I really felt like the ending was what lacked the most in this entire series. The conclusion was the weakest point for me. So I felt like the ending could have been better. The ending was my least favorite in this series, and it was definitely set up so you know that there's going to be a part 2 of the series. There were some unanswered questions. There were some things that kind of felt unexplained and underdeveloped, and those were things that were introduced in the last volume, last 2 volumes specifically, and I can't really go into depth about that without spoiling what that is, and I might go into that in just a second, but overall, that's my biggest complaint. The ending, I felt like it didn't wrap up enough to complete that one series to have it done. I felt like it left you with enough questions that you had to go in and read Tokyo Ghoul Re, because without it, you're not going to have the answers to your questions. And obviously, I've not read Tokyo Ghoul Re yet, so I don't know whether or not the questions that I have get answered in that series. So I can't help but be a little disappointed that there is no more volumes of Tokyo Ghoul. I'm left questioning things that were introduced in the last 2 volumes. I really wished that they would have wrapped it up perfectly into this one series so that you can complete the first series, have a complete arc of the story, and then you can move on into the second arc of a story, continuing on with other things going on with hopes of introductions of past characters in that series. So that is my biggest complaint. I didn't love the ending of Tokyo Ghoul. I felt like it was a little rushed and it if it could have been finished in the one series, it would have been a perfect series for me, and I would say it would get a perfect rating. However, it doesn't. So I'm going to be giving this series a 4.5 out of 5 stars instead of a 5 overall, just for the overall story. I did vary from a 5 to a 3 star during the series. The one that got the lowest rating, I think, was volume 9. That was very heavy on the investigators. That one did get a 3 star, but the rest of them ranged from a 4 to a 5. The last volume getting a 4.5 star because of the ending. I just thought it was absolutely not my favorite thing in the whole world. Do I recommend you check out the series? Absolutely. I recommend you check out Tokyo Ghoul if you're interested in it. If you like horror manga, if you like zombie type of situations with the ghouls, if you've watched the anime or anything like that, I do recommend you check it out. If you enjoy the story or you think you might like this, I think you should check it out. This is something I would definitely recommend to people who like horror manga or who want to get into horror manga. I feel like this is definitely a fun and good stepping stone. I don't feel like this is too horrific for people who are scared of manga, or not scared of manga, but scared of like horror manga. And I feel like this is a fun one to start. Maybe not your first series since it is 16 volumes, but it's actually pretty short considering some manga is like 36 volumes. So it is not the longest manga out there. It is complete with this first series, and then the second series is also complete. So I do recommend you check it out, and I can't wait to add it to my collection. Okay, so if you enjoyed my review of Tokyo Ghoul, please go ahead and leave a like on this video, and I will definitely leave links to all of the manga if you want to check it out. I will leave a link to the first volume and then also the box set if you would like to get that. So all of my links are also in the description if you want to be my friend on any other platform, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Bye everyone.